and that was, that's one of the main things that people talk to me about is, how do you build relationships, right? And how do you build relationships with people? And for me, it's real simple. You build a relationship by saying, how can I help you? Mm-hmm. And that's why when I walked into your office and you've got, 6,000, I guess you include Iraqis, 10,000 troops there. And I'm not thinking about me and what can I do? I'm thinking, how can I help you? Mm-hmm. And that's the attitude, and that's the same attitude we took with the 11AD. When they showed up, it wasn't, hey, we're here. It was, what can we do to help you? What do you need from us? How can we be of assistance? And then the relationship is, oh, we can definitely use your help. Mm-hmm. And then guess what? They give back to us help. So it's pretty
Yeah. Jack, a lot of things go through my mind as you're talking, and again, you had that great attitude of how could I help. I remember when 269 Armor left. They were with me for the first 6 months we were there, and then 1st of the 506 comes in. So what's the difference between 269 Armor and 1st of the 506? You're talking about an armor battalion versus a light infantry battalion, okay? So just because 269 was rotating out doesn't mean they didn't need tanks there. So this is a great story about resilience, I guess you could call it, with this National Guard platoon that I had working with 269 Armor. It was a platoon from an armor unit in the 28th ID, platoon of soldiers. So that was, I think we had about 40 soldiers there. And they were tankers, though. But when they get to 269 Armor in East Ramadi to work with them, I task organized them to, I task organized an entire company there, armor company. And but 269 Armor didn't need them to be armor soldiers. They said, hey, you guys be motorized infantry because we got enough armor soldiers. So that's what they were until 269 Armor leaves. And then the first of the 506 comes in and they said, we still need tanks. So we took a platoon from this armor company, put them on tanks because they were trained tankers, and they just talk about pivoting. Okay, we're talking about pivoting with COVID-19. These guys pivoted from being tankers to being motorized infantry while 269 Armor was there, and then 1st of the 506 Infantry comes in. They pivot back to being tankers, get on tanks, and did just a fabulous job. And they had several main gun engagements in downtown Ramadi while they were working with 1st of the 506. Mm-hmm. And the 1st of the 506 loved them. I forget what month it was, but I know there was a IED that destroyed a tank in the Malab area, which you talk about, where the soccer stadium was. And the tank commander was able to get all of his crewmen out of that tank without anybody getting wounded or worse. And there was a fight that went on down there for at least 24 hours. And a few soldiers were killed during that engagement from the 1st of the 506. But it just goes to show how these soldiers are so adaptable, so agile, able to pivot like that without complaining. It's kind of like, this is what you need us to do? We'll do it. Isn't that an amazing story, though? How many soldiers from other armies could make that type of pivot and do it in an outstanding manner like those soldiers did? Yeah,
it's just it shows you the power of the American military to have that kind of attitude, because it's interesting as you say that. Hey, how many people could pivot? And you're just talking about the pivot. You're not even talking about the fact that these guys are doing combat operation after combat operation after combat operation in the Malab district with subsurface IEDs, destroying tanks, destroying Humvees. These coordinated attacks that they're doing, the vehicle-borne IEDs. I mean, you were talking about the checkpoint on the railroad, right in between Tamim and South Central Ramadi. That is a checkpoint that got overrun.
Yeah,
it got overrun by the enemy. Massive Iraqi soldiers killed and wounded. Most of the Iraqi soldiers deserted after that and never came back. But that's the kind of the enemy there was really good.
Yeah,
and they used the same. They used combined arms, between RPGs and mortars and machine gun and then vehicle-borne IEDs. They coordinated over the radio. They had medevac procedures. I mean, they did what military units did.
Yeah, it was a military unit, and they had a goal of creating a caliphate.
Yeah.
I mean, that was their goal. Talk about purpose. Talk about inspiring people by giving them a purpose. That was their purpose in life, was to take over Ramadi so they could have that as part of what they thought would be an emergent caliphate.
So it's really interesting. That's full spectrum between a Fallujah-style clearance and a, hey, we're leaving and not coming back.
Yeah.
That shows you where the war was. I mean, it really does.